What's up everyone, my name's PlatinumHowler, coach of your Coquitlam Red Gyarados, and today I'm bringing you my Week 7 match of the IBL D-League versus OPJellicent and his Toronto Leaf Storms. You can see his team over on the right side of the screen, and his two Z users are Thunderous Incarnate and Magmortar. Quick shoutouts to my Jenning friends. Ruppy has been a great help in getting all of my teams up until this point, but this week he sadly wasn't able to, and Biggest of Daves was able to step in for him and get me the team when I needed it. So big thanks to both of you for helping me out throughout the course of the season. So, like most people, I would think, I first heard about OPJellicent when he joined the GBA D-League. I don't even know how long ago that was, but if you remember his run in that league, it wasn't much of a run. It was he's well known for kind of not winning a game in the D-League. I can't remember if he won his last game or not. I want to say that he did, so I think he went like 1-10 or something, but your boy OPJellicent is no longer a scrub like he was that GBA D-League season. OPJellicent has been dominating the D-League so far through the first 6 weeks. My man is 6-0 with a plus 20 differential. It's looking like he's going to be a lock for first place, and he's almost definitely going to get a bye to the semifinals when it comes to playoffs. We are currently sitting in second place, which would also get us a bye, but we have a lot more work to do to maintain that bye. This build is kind of in the middle between like serious and not serious, because I want to win and I want to preserve my bye positioning, but at the same time OPJellicent is a very likely finals opponent at this point, so taking this build too far might not be the best idea. So basically my thought process going into this was, hey, if I can get rid of Empoleon, Cloyster looks pretty good. He has quite a few ice weaknesses on his team, and whatever's not weak to ice, like stuff like Diancie and Magmortar, Weavile are frail enough that they can go down to a liquidation. So why not just try to win with this Cloyster here? Shell Smash, Icicle Spear, Liquidation, and Ice Shard. Originally I had Smart Strike on this Cloyster instead of Ice Shard, but that is very, very situational. I would have been super effective on the Weavile, but I can still knock that thing out with the +2 Liquidation. So Smart Strike basically would have just been for the Diancie, 4 times effective, and I may be a bit paranoid that he brings a Pasho Berry on that Diancie, if he even brings it at all. But we will see. We have the Nidoqueen to kind of take on a Diancie, so we have Ice Shard instead because this Cloyster actually speed ties with a Scarfed Thundurus after a Shell Smash. So if it's chipped down enough and in a range where I can KO it with a +2 Ice Shard and I don't have to risk the Icicle Spear speed tie, then that's what I'm going to do. And we have a Chople Berry on the Cloyster so that we can set up in the face of a Mega Lopunny. Through the Chople Berry, even a Adamant high jump kick does not KO after I take Rocks damage. Preferably, I won't want to take Rocks damage at all, because then he can bring it back in and go for Fake Out or Quick Attack or stuff like that to eventually take me out. And then the one thing, of course, I mentioned already, Empoleon is there, which walls the crap out of Cloyster, and I would have to bring that thing down to about 30% to comfortably take it out with a +2 Liquidation. So that's the Cloyster, and then the rest of the team is basically centered around trying to bait in Empoleon early and getting it weakened. So that's why we have a Sylveon here Empoleon outside of Magmortar is its only Fairy Resist, so we're going to bring in offensive Sylveon with an Assault Vest, which I think is a pretty funky set idea. And we have Hyper Voice and Moonblast for one specific reason. I had Weavile in my most recent season of the LET, and week 10 against my friend Ian, who had a Sylveon, I brought a Throat Chop plus Swords Dance Weavile so I could prevent his Sylveon from using Hyper Voice against me, then go for a Swords Dance and rinse and repeat, because Throat Chop only works for, only prevents sound moves from working for 2 turns, so I'd have to do Throat Chop, Swords Dance, then Throat Chop again to prevent him from Hyper Voicing. So that's why we have Moonblast, in case OPJellicent tries to use his own set against me. I am very aware of the threat of a Throat Chop Weavile. Shadow Ball is there because Sylveon doesn't really get many other coverage options. It can hit the Reuniclus super effectively, it can hit the Mismagius super effectively. And then Hidden Power Ground is for the Empoleon. The other Mon that could potentially bait in the Empoleon is Latias, and Latias is defensive this week to try to take on a Mega Lopunny. It very barely can take 2 Adamant returns from a Mega Lopunny, but worst case scenario, if something goes down, I can try to bring in Cloyster, go for a Shell Smash, and hope his team is weakened enough to the point where Cloyster can win. Reuniclus, I should mention, if he is very defensive, that it can live a +2 Icicle Spear from Cloyster. But we do have a Mega Gyarados in the back, just in case the Reuniclus is able to tank a hit, and then we could get a free switch into Gyarados in that case. So, Psyshock is for the mainly for the Lopunny, and it hits stuff like Goodra and well, mainly just Goodra harder, and Mismagius as well, I guess, if it wants to switch in. Thunderbolt is pretty much exclusively for Empoleon, as mentioned, and also for the first time, rather than bringing a Rapid Spinner, I am bringing Defog on Latias. Just because I didn't want to be forced into fitting a Rapid Spinner onto the team. Next up, we have a Choice Scarf Infernape with not a ton of speed and an Adamant nature. This could potentially be a switch in to Weavile. It does resist both of its stabs, so there is a high chance that the Choice Scarf gets knocked off, but in that case, I still have Mach Punch for the priority against his stuff like Mega Lopunny and the Weavile. We have enough speed on the Infernape to outspeed. I think it's anything that is creeping a max speed Adamant Gyarados. Anything that's creeping that, Infernape should outspeed, even if it gets its Choice Scarf knocked off. I have Mach Punch, but I'm not Iron Fist. I think Mach Punch should be plenty powerful to deal with the things that it needs to. Like, Weavile is quad weak to it. Lopunny will probably not straight up die to 1 Mach Punch, but it's super effective, so it should do the trick. But we are Blazed because if I'm switching this Infernape into hits, eventually it's going to get whittled down. So if it comes in and it's below 1/3 of its health, then I can get off a very powerful Blaze boosted Flare Blitz, and that could potentially turn the tide against something like a really bulky Reuniclus. If I get that huge hit off against Reuniclus, then I really might need that, because I don't have a ton that can deal extremely well with the Reuniclus. One Mon though that does is this Mega Gyarados. Dragon Dance, Crunch Waterfall, pretty much a similar set to the last one that I brought against Sock, but instead of Dragon Tail, we have Taunt. We can use Taunt on the Reuniclus to prevent it from going for a Thunder Wave or a Recover or an Iron Defense or a Calm Mind or anything like that. And then we can go for a Dragon Dance. We have enough speed on this Gyarados to outspeed and max speed Adamant Lopunny after 1 Dragon Dance. Waterfall instead of Aqua Tail because I don't want to miss. And Taunt is also going to be nice for the Empoleon. It's going to prevent him from going for a Roar or a Toxic against me. Ideally, I could have ran Substitute on this to dodge a Toxic, and then I basically get free subs against the Empoleon, but he has ran Roar Empoleon in the past, and he should, honestly, and Roar can roar me out even through my Substitute, so Taunt, I think, is just better overall. As long as I don't get Scald Burned, of course. If I get Scald Burned, then it is what it is. I either have to go for a sub so he can't Scald Burn me or Toxic me, or I go for a Taunt and just hope that he doesn't get the 30% chance to burn me. Then last we have Nidoqueen. He has a Thundurus on his team that has Z moves, so that's kind of a big threat. I don't actually have enough investment on this to live a Shattered Psyche from Thundurus, but my Assault Vest Sylveon only takes about 30% from it. So if I really predict him to go for that, then I can go into Sylveon and force that out, maybe bring the Empoleon in. But we do have rocks and some physical attacking moves because he has a Goodra that's very specially bulky, so I want to be able to chip that down as best as possible. Poison Jab is going to hit the Shaman super effectively too. I should mention actually, I wish I could have brought Skarmory here, but I didn't want to be too overwhelmingly weak to Thundurus. One reason being is Thundurus is in the running for the kill leader, which I don't want. I don't want that thing to overtake Mega Gyarados for the regular season kill leader. So we do have this Nidoqueen to check that thing better than a Skarmory would be able to. Skarmory would have been a lot better to switch into stuff like Shaman, but even then, if he gets Spadef drops with Seed Flare and has appropriate hidden power coverage, then that offensive Shaman could still be a huge threat. Have Iapapa Berry for longevity, have enough defense investment, we should be able to take 2 hits from Lopunny as well, proc the Iapapa Berry, and then in that case, if the Berry procs, we should be able to take 3 hits from the Lopunny. So that's going to be the team that we bring against OPJellicent this week. Hopefully we can continue our win streak and further solidify our playoff positioning. Hopefully we can keep hold of the bye, but if not, then we'll just have to work harder in the last 2 weeks. So I will see you right back with the battle. Here we are back with the battle, and looking at the team that Jelli decided to bring, we don't see the Weavile, which could have come to Pursuit Trap my Latias, and that could have been a problem because my Latias is my primary check to that Mega Lopunny, and I need to be able to switch into that consistently. We don't see the Shaman, which is quite a relief. Makes Gyarados a lot better. There are a number of viable Shaman sets that he could have brought, like offensive would have been scary. I don't have much to switch into that, and defensive also could have been scary because I could have easily taken a hit or 2 from Mega Gyarados and revenge kill it with a Seed Flare. We don't see the Magmortar. We did prep a little bit for a Z variant of Magmortar, but because it's not here, that means Thundurus is the only possible Z-Mon on his team this week, and we also don't see the Goodra or the Mismagius. The one Mon that I'm a little annoyed to see on my screen is the Diancie. This is only his second time bringing it this season. He hasn't brought it since week 1, and it's making me regret making the change on my Cloyster set because, as I said, I had Smart Strike over Ice Shard, which would have definitely guaranteed a KO on the Diancie, and I'm super paranoid that this Diancie is going to have a Pasho Berry to take a hit from the likes of my Cloyster or my Gyarados. So a little bit annoyed to see that, but yeah, basically I mean, I don't know for a fact it's gonna be Pasho Berry, but I'm just super paranoid, and like it's just looking like he brought everything that he possibly could have to stop the Cloyster on the Cloyster sweep on my end. Like Empoleon is there. I need to make sure that I can weaken that tremendously for Cloyster to have any chance. Reuniclus is also pretty fat and can take hits from Cloyster, so I'm going to need damage on that. It could regen any damage off, so like getting that thing low is going to be really difficult as well. So yeah, it's looking like I'm going to have a tough time executing my plan in this game. Getting into the battle now, I'm going to lead with my Choice Scarfed Infernape. It's a pretty safe lead overall. I can get momentum on anything that he decides to lead with. And he decides to lead with the Landorus. There's a chance that he could be faster than me if he has a lot of speed investment, but I don't think he's going to have maximum speed investment, even if he is Scarfed himself. He should just have enough to outspeed an Adamant Gyarados, as I mentioned in prep, but I'm going to U-turn out, and I debated on whether or not I should go into Gyarados or Latias here, because if he was going to set up his rocks, I could have gone into Latias and defogged immediately. Then I might have had to take a U-turn from the Landorus, depending on whether or not he was fearing Ice Beam from my Latias. But I do go into Gyarados and get the Intimidate off on the Landorus before Mega Evolving. He's going to U-turn out, revealing that he is faster than me. He has just enough speed for my Adamant Gyarados. And I'm going to go straight for a Waterfall, because he does not really have great switch-ins to this Gyarados. And his switch-in is going to be Thunderous, and it's going to take like 75% from my Adamant Waterfall. So I'm thinking, okay, there's no way that he brings this in if he's not Scarfed, because what if I had gone for a Dragon Dance, and if I had gone for a Dragon Dance on that turn, he would have been sacking his Thunderous, one of his most potent offensive threats. But as you can see here, he's not Scarfed because he goes for a Psychic on my Mega Gyarados switching out. If I had stayed in, I could have just set up a Dragon Dance for free on that thing. So incredibly bold play, but goes for Psychic, I guess predicting my Nidoqueen switch in, and he gets a special defense drop on my Assault Vest Sylveon, which is going to allow him to knock me out with the Acid Downpour. So, one, because he made that prediction, I definitely thought that it was Scarfed, because you have to play more aggressively with Scarfers, knowing that you can only lock yourself into one move. And two, I was just really confused that he would make that switch if he wasn't Scarfed, because like I said, if I Dragon Dance up there, I mean, nothing was stopping me from clicking Dragon Dance. He's just sacking his Thunderous. So I was really confused about that, and those sequence of plays really set me back, especially with that unfortunate special defense drop. My Sylveon goes down, not able to get any damage off whatsoever in this game. And I bring in my Infernape to revenge kill the Thunderous, and he has the Prankster Thunder Wave for me. So now my Infernape is basically useless, and after Thunderous goes down, he's able to easily bring in his Lopunny, and since I'm at -1 defense, he's going to be able to knock me out with the return. So my Scarf Infernape pretty much useless after it got paralyzed, so I just decided this is not looking like it's going to be doing much more in this game, so I'm going to just let it go down and give myself a free switch into the Latias. My primary check to this Lopunny. The Lopunny is going to be forced out as I defog his Stealth Rocks away. Now the Reuniclus is going to come in, and I am going to pull the switch directly into my Gyarados, as he's going to go for a knockoff. So, knockoff on a Reuniclus makes me think that this is an Assault Vest set. So, he's probably not Colbur Berry and doesn't want to take a hit, and maybe baiting the Dark-type move from my Gyarados, he could survive that easily and get some damage off against me. But he stays in as I click Waterfall and get the flinch. And because he stayed in, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he is Colbur Berry and has like a Thunder Wave for me. So I'm gonna go for a taunt on the next turn, as he switches out into the Landorus. And here I make just a really bad prediction as he goes for an Earthquake against my Gyarados when I thought he was going to go for a U-turn. But because my Nidoqueen is very defensive, I am going to be able to survive the Earthquake and eat my Ayapapa Berry. But I don't want to take another Earthquake, so I'm going to go into my Latias to eat that. But basically going back to the Waterfall play, I thought he might try to switch out to the Diancie because, again, I'm like, in my head, I'm convinced that the Diancie is Pasho Berry. So I wanted to try to maybe catch that on the switch and go for a Waterfall to break its Pasho Berry. And then I could knock it out with another Waterfall, but that didn't really work out. The Latias is in here now. Goes for a Psyshock against the Landorus, which is going to U-turn out against me, and Reuniclus comes back in, and we see that he's not Regenerator, so, like, I just don't know what to make of this Reuniclus set at this point. Like, it doesn't, like, I'm not sure what item it is. Like, it's Magic Guard, but it's not Leftovers. As you can see here, I crunch it, and it's not Colbur Berry, so, like, I don't really know what's going on, but, regardless, I knock it out with my Nidoqueen with a crit. I'm not sure if that crit mattered. I'm not very offensive, so I am led to believe that it did matter a little bit. Because you see how little this Poison Jab does to this Lopunny. It doesn't even do half. And Poison Jab is like the most powerful attack that Nidoqueen has in its arsenal. But thanks to my defense investment, I am able to get a little bit of damage off against the Lopunny, so I guarantee that it's in range to die from a Latias Psyshock here. But I'm gonna double out predicting his switch into anything really, because I don't think that he wants to let his Lopunny go down. But he actually stays in and clicks return against my Latias, and now he's gonna be able to 2-hit KO my Gyarados. The reason I made this double switch into Gyarados is because I needed to get some offensive momentum back. If he were to switch into the Empoleon or the Diancie, I needed to like, if he went Empoleon, I could have got a Dragon Dance off against that, hopefully, or maybe gone for a taunt against it, predicting his Roar. If he had gone to Diancie, I could have just clicked Waterfall, and he didn't really have great switch-ins to that, but as you will see, him leaving Lopunny in there made complete sense. He was just setting himself up for the end game, so it wasn't a bad play on his part to sack his Lopunny off by any means, but I still stand by the play that I made, switching my Gyarados in there, because I had to try and make an aggressive play to get back into the game and give myself a chance to win, but as you will see, Jelli has the endgame set up perfectly, so he didn't need to make any crazy predictions or anything. He's just going to pivot into his Landorus to get his rocks back up, and Latias is going to be able to knock it out. Or he doesn't knock out the Landorus, excuse me. He's just going to U-turn into the Lopunny to sack it off this time, and he gets a free switch in his Diancie. So with Latias, if Gyarados was still alive and Cloyster, I really didn't have anything left that could deal with this Rock Polish Diancie. So what the play that he was going for was he was sacking his Lopunny off so he could get the Diancie in for free, because my Latias is set up fodder for the Diancie, but neither my Cloyster or Gyarados are. He would feel threatened offensively by both of those, but there is no threat here for my Latias. I go for a Roost just to gauge damage, and he is doing well over 50%. And I'm only able to get one attack off against the Diancie. That's going to be a Thunderbolt. I went for a Thunderbolt trying to get the full paralysis on him, but unfortunately that didn't happen. I would have needed a miracle to benefit from that at that point. 10% full paralysis chance, and then I would have had to go immediately into my Cloyster and hope he gets full parried on 2 turns in a row. I wouldn't have been able to leave my Latias in that situation because I wasn't doing enough damage, and he could just continue to click Rock Polish so that he could make sure he was faster than my Cloyster even when paralyzed. So anyway, GG to Jelli. His links are going to be in the description, of course, but chances are if you are watching this and you're subscribed to me, then you're probably already subscribed to him, but his links will be in the description nonetheless. Congrats on basically clinching a playoff bye and the #1 overall seed. I think it's still possible for somebody to catch him in that area, but it would, I think it's highly unlikely. So it looks like he's going to be the #1, the top dog going into the playoff chase. Looking back on this game, I can't really point to one particular play or misplay in this game on my part that cost me the game. In general, I just feel like I was out-prepped and outplayed. Nothing more I can say about that. I just found myself having a difficult time on getting a read on what he was trying to do and what he was trying to set himself up for. The first couple turns of this match really threw me through a loop and set me on the back foot. I was kind of confused with his prep for the Gyarados. I was able to get it in very early against the Landorus in an advantageous position, and he plays his Thundurus as if it's Scarfed because he switches it in to take 75% from a Gyarados Waterfall. So I'm convinced that he's Scarfed, and then turns out that he's not, and my Sylveon goes down without getting any damage off. The Sylveon was there to bait in the Empoleon so I could weaken that thing for a Cloyster sweep, but as you can see, his Empoleon never even hit the field because that series of plays and the unfortunate special defense drop, which allowed him to get the kill on my Sylveon, just put me on the back foot really hard in the first couple turns, and I wasn't able to recover from it. Jelli really was dictating play from pretty much the 4th turn on in this game, so we're gonna have to come up with a new plan if we are to have a rematch with him in the playoffs. But yeah, honestly, not much more to say about the match. Just out-prepped and outplayed by Jelli, and he just keeps on keeping on with his 7-0 record. I was hoping that we could be the ones to give him his first loss of the season, but just wasn't meant to be. So we do fall to 4-3. We do lose our #2 seed and the playoff bye for the time being. Our fate is no longer in our own hands, but the best that we can do is play hard in our last 2 matches, hope that we can finish 6-3, and hope that things go our way and we claim our bye positioning back. So with that said, next week, week 8, is going to be against Sharpedo43 and his Silmar Sylveons. Make sure you like, comment on this video, subscribe to the channel for future IBL videos, and we'll see you next week.